Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Grade 7 Open House. We're excited to be having this event today, particularly after being able to see a number of families on campus on Friday. So we've got a lot of families joining us tonight, so we're just going to take a few moments to let everybody into the room. We appreciate people taking the time out of their busy schedules to meet with us tonight. And I'm delighted to see the number of families who are joining us for this open house who've also been part of our Tuesdays with the team. We've just finished our 6th Tuesday with the team, and we've got some great ones coming up, including one that will be run by our admission prefects who are joining us tonight. So we're just letting a few more folks into the room. Our numbers continue to climb as we wait to get started. With me tonight, I have colleagues who sit on our senior leadership team, as well as many of our teachers from our middle school program, who I know you are keen to hear from. Okay. Numbers are rising quickly. Everybody is quite prompt today, which is fantastic. So tonight's event will run until just before 8 o'clock. I thank everybody who has submitted some great questions in advance for tonight. That's really what guided what we wanted to speak to you about, because we wanted to make sure we were answering the questions that you had specifically about our middle school, why it's such a special place, and of course, what makes Havergal such a special school. So our numbers are continuing to rise, but I do think we'll be able to get started in just a moment. Okay, so thank you to everybody for joining tonight. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Maggie Houston-White, and I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Enrollment Management. And what that means is my job is to oversee the recruitment, admission, and retention of our students at Havergal. I'm delighted tonight to be co-hosting with our admission prefects, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves right now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah.
And my name is Paris.
And as mentioned, we are the admissions prefect for this school year. So we both came into Havergal in grade 9, and we're extremely excited to be hosting this open house with you tonight to talk about the very special place that is Havergal.
And our job in the school is to help organize events like this and connect with families and students, as well as contribute to our overall prefect team with planning initiatives within our school.
Thank you, and it's great to have you both here. So as you know, this is our grade 7 open house with a focus on our middle school. So we'll look at the middle school as a whole. We'll look at academics through the lens of one of our teachers. We'll look at our guidance, learning support, and wellness program, as well as strategic innovation within the school, arts and athletics, life beyond the classroom. And of course, we'll make time to answer your questions about the admission process that you submitted. There will be an opportunity at the end of the webinar for you to submit questions. Please feel free during the webinar to use the Q&A button to submit questions at any time, and we will get to them at the end. And so it is my pleasure, as we look at why Havergal, to first introduce our Associate Head of School, Lindsay Norberg.
Thank you, Maggie, and welcome to everyone who's joining us here this evening. It's really a pleasure to be here with you. As Maggie said, my job is Associate Head of School. And what that means is I get to work very closely with the head of junior school, head of middle school, head of senior school, and our head of boarding school to help build a program that is a continuum that helps students move towards what we call our portrait of a grad. Our portrait of a grad we talk about as being our North Star, and this is where we're heading with the students that we have in front of us. You're going to hear this evening from my wonderful colleagues about very intentional programs that are designed to give students opportunities really to explore who they are and get to know themselves and their passions, and at the same time develop the skills to be globally minded, self-directed, flexible, adaptable, ready to look forward into the future, inspired to take action, really know what it means to lean into empathy, act with integrity, and of course, navigate our digital world. So as you listen this evening, please do think about the fact that each of these programs is designed quite intentionally so that students have the opportunity to build these skills and practice them over their time here at Havergal. It's wonderful to have you here this evening, and I'm going to pass this back. Maybe am I going to pass this directly to JJ Patterson, who is our head of middle school. JJ.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to have you here with us. It's my pleasure to welcome you and introduce you to the middle school at Havergal. As Lindsay mentioned, my name's JJ Patterson. I'm the head of the middle school. It's just an amazing place to be. Every school is focused on its own particular mission and values. At Havergal, our mission is to prepare young women to make a difference. As such, we aim to create students who will become active and responsible citizens who are willing and able to give back and contribute to the world. Our actions and our decisions are always grounded in our values: courage, compassion, integrity, and inquiry. These values guide us as we develop programming for our students and prepare them for the future. Throughout this evening, you'll hear from my wonderful middle school colleagues who will highlight different parts of the middle school program, but know that all of us work together through the lens of our mission and values to create an exceptional grade 7 and 8 experience for our students. Next slide, please, Maggie. At Havergal, we have a distinct middle school, and the middle school program is specifically built for the age and stage of our grade 7 and 8 students. We work really hard to get to know your daughter and ensure she feels valued and supported. We create extensive opportunities and experiences that allow students to take well-supported risks, to try new things, meet new people. And that's one of the advantages of a bigger school. At Havergal, we're able to offer more opportunities for our students to try all kinds of things in various possible fields within a really carefully structured space of safety and support. Our purpose begins with helping students to discover their best selves. And that's who they are as a learner and a leader. It's about helping them find their passions, learn about new ideas, and continually connect with what they're learning to the world around them. Our hope is that they develop the skills that not only allow them to have a place at the table, but provide them with the confidence to know that their voice matters at that table. I could rave all night about our middle school team. I love working with my colleagues. I'm going to do my best to keep it concise for you, but the middle school team is composed of subject specialists who are passionate about teaching the students in these middle school years. Each of the grade 7 and 8 students are part of a form group or a homeroom group, and their form teacher also is one of their subject teachers. That allows them to develop strong relationships with their students, not only as their advisees, but also learners in the classroom. We know that well-being supports wrapped around the academic program help our students reach their goals. There are numerous one-on-one supports for our students. At Havergal, we have 2 guidance counselors and learning support specialists dedicated to our middle school students, and you're going to hear from one of them a little bit later tonight. Each student is assigned a guidance counselor who is there for them for academic advice and learning support, as well as social and emotional support. For those who may require more extensive support, we have a full-time social worker as well. Additionally, as part of our transition plan, all students in the middle school meet one-on-one with me throughout the fall. This allows me to check in to see how they're doing, allows me to get to know them, and importantly, allows them to get to know me too. Transitions are really important because we recognize that students are coming to Havergal from a large variety of elementary school backgrounds, sometimes from various different countries around the world. And we work really hard at transitioning our students in a way that addresses their needs through the lens of the academics, the social, emotional, and engagement in school life. This is done through a variety of activities over the course of the year, with a really special focus on the activities at the start of the year and throughout the fall. And earlier I spoke to you about what the form teachers do. These teachers are often the go-to people for our middle school students. They work exceptionally hard to create a safe, really warm and welcoming environment while ensuring that the student is known, feels valued, and is supported, which is really central to our transition plan. Finally, I want to talk about the middle school toolkit. In the middle school, we're focused on the deliberate construction of each student's toolkit. What do they need? They need all these skills that are that are required both inside and outside of school. Think of things like executive functioning skills or organization, time management, self-advocacy, communication, study skills, relationship and conflict resolution skills. These are all skills that we explicitly teach and provide our students with well-supported environments to practice these skills in order to develop the confidence in using them and confidence in their own abilities. Students also work at building their toolkit through an engagement outside of the classroom. We have a very robust co-curricular program for students to engage with. This year, we have over 30 middle school clubs for grade 7 and 8 students alone, ranging from robotics and public speaking to jewelry making and rock climbing. It's quite an extensive list. Developing students who are ready to lead and make a difference is fundamental to our mission. Leadership opportunities begin right away. As students enter the middle school, they can choose to run for an elected position, and they're also able to take on various informal leadership roles in an array of positions that organically rise and come out of all the clubs, the teams, the ensembles that they can be a part of in the middle school. Over the past year and a half, after the past year and a half, we've just begun offering excursions again. In fact, our grade 8 students are off to their first excursion of the year on Thursday. Shortly, you will hear from our Director of Athletics and Director of Performing Arts, who will highlight our extensive programs and the opportunities available to the students there. Know that we work very hard at providing experiences at the school that are age and stage appropriate and allow students to try many, many different things. We want them to try many different things. I'll close now. Thank you for listening. And I'd like to pass this over to my colleague, Jennifer Goldberg, who happens to be a middle school form teacher and is our head of the English department. And she'll talk to you about the academic program at Havergal.
Thanks so much, JJ. So I'm here to talk about the academic program, and I say that or speak to that, as JJ mentioned, as a form teacher, as a grade 7 English teacher, and also as the head of the English drama department, and a teacher of grade 12 English. So my timetable is grade 7 and grade 12. And speaking to you about the academic program, I think it's really challenging to express the richness of our program in a sound bite. So I'll try to offer a concrete example or detail that I can share, which is about how often our graduates come back to visit us and tell us about how well prepared they were by our program. So we hear frequently from our students who come back to say hi to us in English about how they've become the go-to people on their floor at university and residence for help with writing, for help in preparing for discussion and dialogue. And even more than that, they come back really excited about what they're doing in their next stage of their journey, about that next level of learning. So thinking about our liberal arts education, Havergal really fosters a culture of thinking that's about equipping students to wrestle with big, real world questions. Yes, we are an academically rigorous school, and that rigor is all about a thoughtful curriculum that's designed to empower students to take on meaningful challenges right now and also in their future. DEI is a big part. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a central priority across our academic program and beyond at Havergal. I can tell you that in English specifically, an important facet of this is our commitment to multiple voices and perspectives, both in terms of our content, so meaning the authors and the stories that we're bringing into our English classrooms, and also our approach, the fact that we're prioritizing bringing texts and learners into conversation with each other. Thinking about student agency in our program, particularly middle school, one of the things that as a teacher I see as a really powerful part of the academic approach to middle school at Havergal is the fact that it's full rotary. So what that means is that every teacher your child has in grade 7 and 8 is a subject specialist who teaches across the upper school. So we have this framework for learning where middle school students are practicing their craft. They are learning as historians, as scientists, as artists. We, as their teachers, we know where they're starting, but we also have a really clear picture of where they're headed because we're part of that cycle of the learning journey in the upper school as well. Having said that, as JJ mentioned, and as Jordy, Learning Support and Guidance Counselor, I'm sure talk about as well, in every subject, learning skills, things like managing your materials, using an agenda effectively, learning how to take notes and to study, all of those things are part of every course as well, particularly in the middle school program. So thinking about faculty, and it feels weird to say this because I am one, but having worked in many different schools, I can say that at Havergal, I have encountered the most passionate educators of my career. And it's one of the reasons I'm proud to work here, that I'm thrilled to have this community of colleagues around me. We really work to meet students where they are, and we really put our focus on relationships first. So we think about the importance of knowing your child in order to support them, as JJ said, in becoming the best versions of themselves. So having shared that, I'm going to pass things on to Jordy Winograd, who is one of our middle school guidance counselors and learning support specialists.
Thank you, Jen. So I am one of the 2 middle school guidance counselors and learning support specialists. And each middle school student has a circle of care team comprised of a guidance counselor and learning support specialist. So the guidance counselor really works to build connections and to inspire and to engage students through the development of self-awareness and advocacy skills, and by helping them to recognize and acknowledge their strengths and their needs. The learning support specialists work to develop programming focused on assisting students to manage their own learning and to acquire the habits and skills necessary for success both inside and outside of school. Support is also delivered through the Wednesday Middle School Form program and typically includes age and stage appropriate content on key topics relevant to students. So really our middle school form program reflects and really acknowledges the challenging and ever-changing world in which our students live. So it's really designed to celebrate, support, nurture students through instruction, activities, practice, reflection, and other opportunities. So during our time together, we really support students in developing their independence, their sense of self and personal identity, as well as their personal and academic toolkits in order to be well prepared for the senior school. It's also designed and it really encourages them to access support, whether that be academically or in the social emotional realm, to develop the foundations and independence to transition with confidence to the senior school, to take responsibility for their actions, to focus on Havergal's values and strive to contribute positively to their community. And it's also to gain confidence and perspective in order to learn more effectively and to manage challenging and unfamiliar contexts. So overall topics are chosen to provide students with an intentional framework in which to develop skills and strategies and to adapt to changing circumstances. So the form program really centers itself on supporting students in their understanding of what well-being means to them, their interpersonal relationships, capacity building, social skills, and their sense of social responsibility. Form sessions also build on students' understanding of executive functioning skills and how that connects to learning skills, particularly as they pertain to academic buoyancy, personal growth, study skills, and strategy building. Students are also introduced in these sessions to the principles of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, and the necessary skills to make achievable short and long-term goals. The sessions are also planned around brain structures, stress in the brain, stress management techniques, mindfulness and growth mindset, as well as a focus on the importance of building confidence, self-esteem, courage, and resilience. Specific lessons are also designed to support and deconstruct the development of communication, active listening, conflict resolution, and empathy skills, with a focus on compassion, emotional intelligence, leadership, self-respect, and respect for others. Guidance counselors are always available to the students in this building, as well as their learning support specialists, to help with everything from day-to-day problems to the navigation of specific individual problems or questions students have. Thank you, and I'm now going to pass it on to Garth Nichols, VP of Strategic Innovation and Design.
Wow, thanks, Jordy. That's a lot to follow. I really appreciate it because in my role as Vice Principal of Strategic Innovation and Design, it's K to 12. A lot of my work is on the foundation of many of these things we've already heard. This strong academic program, and these wonderful skills that Ms. Patterson and Ms. Winograd have been talking about. So it's important to know that that strong foundation allows us to do a lot of really interesting work. And so my role is it's got an interesting title. So I'll break that down a little bit. If strategy is determining where in the market or in the educational landscape we want to play or strengthen our programming, and innovation is the intentional use of resources, human, financial, time, all those things to create new value, then it's out of this role alongside all the faculty, the director of well-being, the IT department, the manager of DEI, the heads of the schools, that we design learning experiences that supports Havergal's vision of a sustaining leader in all girls education. We're really driving the strategic direction of the school, and that focuses on what Ms. Norberg was talking about, the portrait of a grad, that future readiness. You may have heard of the term VUCA before, VUCA. It was coined to describe the theater of war of American soldiers in the Gulf War in the 1990s. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And more it's being used to describe the world of work, and more recently, the life of a teenager. And I'm not joking. There's a lot of things that our teenagers are going through now that we didn't go through when we were growing up. And I'd like to think that those students in Havergal in general, but also those engaging in HCX programming, can actually change what VUCA stands for. And what I mean by that is the programming that we're running, instead of facing forward into a volatile future, it allows them to really have a vision of the future that they want to shape. Instead of being overwhelmed by the uncertainty, they actually go out and seek perspectives in order to understand themselves as learners and seek more broadly the lived experience of others. Instead of crumbling under the complexity of the world, they engage with these challenges through the lens of creativity. I mean, seeing challenges as opportunities. And then instead of being worried about how ambiguous and there's no answer there, our students have a certain level of ambition, not capital A ambition, but ambition to actually a willingness to lead, to make decisions, to actually take the reins and create the future that they want to see. So how do we do this at HCX? Well, HCX was launched in 2019. It's the innovation hub that is responsible for developing student programming and aligned professional development for future readiness. So we research within and beyond the educational sector. So World Economic Forum, the OECD, to name a couple of them. And we develop these programs. But there's one I want to focus on tonight, and that is Digital Wisdom. Digital Wisdom is a course that is taught in grade 5, 6, and 7, and 8. It's building on the research from from within and beyond the educational sector. And it's not an internet safety course, so that's certainly an element of it. It's not a technology skills course, so that's certainly an element of it. But rather, it is a course to put students in front of, to activate, and to practice what it means and what it feels like to have a stable identity in a digitally mediated world. So you may have heard of the term in real life. Well, I've got, almost a teenager and definitely a teenager in my household, and they don't use that term anymore. They use AFK, away from keyboard. So we're no longer talking about this line in the sand between what happens in a digital realm and what happens in real life. We're talking about an integrated world now, a digitally mediated world. And so this course is really focusing on an ethical decision-making process and many of those skills that we would amplify that Ms. Winograd was talking about. So this course is really about them. And even though your daughter may be coming in grade 7, don't feel that because this course started in 5 and 6 that they've missed anything, because this course is about them. It's about the student. They really are in the driver's seat. And so I wish I could tell you more about what we do at HCX, but I'm going to have to stop there. I'll pass this on to our athletic director, but before I do, you can check out more on our website around HCX and the programs that we have. So thanks very much, and over to you, Carla.
All right, thank you, Garth. Hi, everybody. My name is Carla DiFilippo, and I am the Director of Athletics at Havergal College. Havergal is home to an absolutely beautiful campus. From an athletics lens, we are lucky to have available to us 3 outdoor playing fields, 6 tennis courts, 1 single and 1 double gym, 1 25-meter pool, and you can see behind me is a backdrop of the pool. It's beautiful. 1 climbing wall, a 9-hole disc golf course that was just put in last summer, and a fitness center equipped with free weights, bikes, treadmills, elliptical trainers, and pretty much everything you need to get a good workout. Students also have access to a physiotherapist as well as a strength and conditioning coach. Next slide, please. All right, thank you. On this page, you could read the athletics philosophy. The goal of athletics at Havergal is to provide a range of experiences to meet the diverse needs of our students. From elite athletes in more traditional sports to those who want to try a sport for the first time, sports such as Nordic skiing, rugby, or even disc golf, my personal favorite, I am convinced that there is something that will interest your child. These could be elite teams that compete in Division I or competitive teams that compete in Division II, or even recreational teams that have exhibition games or games amongst themselves. The more popular sports for our middle school students have both a Division I and Division II league. So in grade 7, for example, sports such as volleyball will have a Division I, Division II team. And in grade 8, they'll also have a Division I and Division II team. Each of these teams have committed coaches and play in the CISAA that is relevant to their skill set. We also offer many sports that do not turn away any interested athletes, such as cross-country running, skiing, disc golf, as previously mentioned, and swimming. We also have club sports, such as yoga and the triathlon club. Clubs may also emerge with student interest in a particular sport. For example, this fall, we offered instructional tennis for the first time to interested students, and it was a great success. Locally, we compete in the Conference of Independent Schools Athletic Association, or CISAA for short. And although we've had a lot of success winning numerous CISA championships in the past, it really isn't about the wins and the losses. Athletics at Havergal is an opportunity for students to find friendships, challenge themselves, experience failure and growth, and most importantly, to have fun. We try to instill in our athletes the knowledge and experience that selfless, authentic, and team-first values and behaviors will allow them to navigate their relationships, experiences, and times of adversity with courage, composure, and an understanding that supporting others will positively contribute to their own growth and development. It's our attempt to transfer the skills taught through sport to all facets of their lives. To gain a more in-depth glimpse of athletics at Havergal, I encourage you to check our Instagram page, which is at Havergal_Gators. I will now pass it on to Grammy-nominated artist and Director of Performing Arts, Miss Sissy Goodridge.
Thank you, Carla. I don't know about Grammy, Juno maybe, but not Grammy.
I meant Juno, sorry.
Welcome, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to talk to you about the performing arts at Havergal College. This is our philosophy about the performing arts. But in short, it really means come on out, give it a try. Don't worry if you haven't played an instrument or done dance before. That's what we're for. We're here to teach your children how to ignite a new passion or to continue growing their passions, all in the areas of the arts. We have a thriving dance and drama and music program, and in music they can do vocal, band, or strings. Next slide, please. In our program, we have a variety of programs, as I was just mentioning. And I think what I'll do is just go through these photos and describe what they are. The one on the left upper is our dance club. And our students here, again, if they've never done dance before or if they've been dancing for years, this is an opportunity for them to work with students their same age and develop a program. Often these students, if they're more advanced, they can take on a leadership role and do the choreography, or they can just participate to as much as they would like. You'll see behind me that I'm in the Brenda Robson Hall, and this is in fact where the students here in this photo are performing. And this is our hall that seats about 650 students, and it's often used for many of our arts programs. On the right top hand corner, you'll see our Havergal Youth Theatre. This is probably one of our most popular events within the middle school. Our grade 7 and 8 students get to participate in a show each year, and whether you like to be on stage or behind the scenes, we have got a spot for you. Here you can see the students are performing on stage, but we also have students behind the scenes who are actually helping to direct. They do the stage management. If they like to be working with lights or sound, we have them up in our theater booth. We have them doing costumes and makeup. So there's something for everyone. We typically have around 60 to 70 students involved in that program. It's also in the fall, so it's a wonderful way for the girls to get to know one another in a different way outside of the classroom. In the bottom left, you'll see our students who are performing in our middle school band. I must say, as a band director, I'm a little bit partial to that. We have a grade 7 band, we have a grade 8 band, we've often run a middle school jazz band, and we do take our grade 8 band to competition, and they have been known to do very, very well. In fact, they have traveled on more than one occasion nationally to compete in our national competition. On the right, you will see our string students. These are our students in grade 8, and they perform with our grade 8 string ensemble. We have a new club this year called Musical Theater, and this was really brought to me by the students, a desire for them to put 3 different art passions together: singing, dancing, and acting together. So we're going to pilot that this coming spring. We already have 50 students signed up for it, so I anticipate it will be something that will be with us for a long time to come. We also have a large middle school choir, and they perform at our carol service and at our music nights. And I must say, after 18 months of a hiatus with our music, we are very, very excited to be back in full. We have our concerts, and our beloved carol service will be happening again in the middle of December. So that's, I think, covering just about everything we have in middle school. Like I said, we're here for your girls to get involved as much or as little as they'd like, and we're here to support them as they grow in their arts here at the school. And with that, I will pass it off to Maggie Houston-White. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sissy. And I have to echo, particularly being in prayers, which we are in twice a week at the upper school. Having our students sing and join in has been incredible. We're fortunate that we're able to have the space to have 2 grades actually come together each Monday and Thursday in the Brenda Robson Hall, as Sissy mentioned, and it certainly is special. So some of the questions we got from parents before this event was just having a chance to walk through the admission process and what is it all about. We recognize that this can be a really daunting time for students who are applying. And I think what we want to make sure that you leave knowing tonight is that this is a personalized approach to understanding each of our applicants. We began our interviews back on October 12th, which seems ages ago, and they'll run right through until mid-February. Each of our applicants has a one-on-one interview with a member of the admission team. And within that interview, there's an assessment that's been designed to allow applicants to show their skills, to show what they know, and to work together with a member of the admission team. I think it's important that you know that we are looking for what is special about your daughter. We want to know what's great about her, where her skills are, where her passions are, where she'd like some support. And our job on the admission team is to make sure we find out all of those great stories, even when it means as parents, when you join the interview, you embarrass her a little bit by saying all the amazing things you know about her. It's important as well that as your daughter completes the interview process and the assessment process, to know that that's not where the admission process ends for her. She can reach out to us at any time with questions. She can speak to members of the student body if she has questions. And we also want to hear from her about what's been exciting for her in her grade 6 year. So if you're thinking of applying, the application deadline is December 1st. There is the application that you need to submit, the interview and the assessment. If you're looking at applying for financial assistance, the deadline for that process is January 3rd. If you have questions about financial assistance, please do reach out to the admission office, and we're happy to help you with this process. The offer date this year is February 25th, 2022, and a number of families asked if you can find out earlier. The answer to that is no. And the reason for that is we're part of a consortium of schools in Toronto, and we believe it's important that families have all of their offers on the table at once so you can make the most informed choice for your daughter about what the best school is for her. And that's the other piece of the admission process. It's making sure that we give you the information that you need to discover for yourself why Havergal could be the right school for her, and of course, why we think Havergal is the best school out there. So if you visit our admission center, you'll find our virtual tour, you'll find the weekly webinars and podcasts. There's the emails that you can reach our admission prefects at, our parent ambassadors at, or members of the admission team. And for those of you who joined us on Friday for our campus tours, it was such a pleasure to be able to see you. If you didn't get a chance to visit our campus, please know that the QR codes that we created for that special visit day remain up. So at any time on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 8 until 6, or on the weekends from 9 a.m. till noon, you are more than welcome to come and visit our campus, to walk around and use those QR codes to discover what happens behind the ivy. I think, though, the most important people you should hear from tonight, apart from my esteemed colleagues, has to be our students. And it has been an absolute pleasure to work with Hannah and Paris this year as our admission prefect. And I'd love to turn it over to them right now.
Thank you, Ms. Houston-White. Once again, I'm Paris. I'm one of the admissions prefect. And I'm just going to tell you kind of about my experience at Havergal. Obviously, going into a new school, I was extremely nervous about being in a different environment. Having attended a public school for basically all of my life, I knew that there was always a massive disconnect between younger and older students. But on my first day, I was greeted by smiling grade 12s on the front steps of the schools, and they cheered me on as I took my first steps into my new school. And at first I thought that this was probably just an act for the first day and they'll probably never talk to me again. But once again, I was wrong. Every day I was always met with a smile by the grads, and even if they had never spoken to me before, they were still super nice. I was really shocked at this new relationship established between younger and older grades. Now as a grad, I get to be part of creating that experience for incoming students. It has only been just over a month in school, but I've already met so many of the new middle schoolers through numerous events. We've had prefect and middle school lunch where we meet with the grade 7s and 8s and play lots of games. The best thing about these events is not only that the middle school is connecting with the older grades, but also that they're making friends within their own grade. These games create a fun and comfortable environment where students are able to be themselves without any fear of judgment, and it really helps with making new friends. We also have an upcoming middle school Halloween movie night, which is hosted by the prefects, which I am super excited about. And just overall, coming to Havergal may seem super daunting, but the best part about coming into middle school is that everyone is new. Whether they've been to the junior school or they're coming in this year, everyone will be new to the upper school space, which will make it far easier to adjust because everyone is going to be there for you.
So similar to how some of you may be feeling, I was extremely excited to enter Havergal. So for me, what that meant was gaining more independence, opening the doors to the rest of my educational career, and getting to meet new people. So at Havergal, you'll have so many opportunities to connect with both girls in your form and in the broader middle school community. So one of my favorite ways to connect as a new girl was through the house system. With girls in my house from every grade, from 7 to 12, I've been able to both ask for advice and offer advice on all sorts of things, from social events to picking my electives for the next year. So personally, as a grad, I love getting to know all the grade 7s and 8s in my house and learning unique stories about them. And what's great about the middle school is that you also have the opportunity to join so many different clubs, from scrapbooking to rock climbing, or even create your own club. There are just so many choices. And another great thing about being a new girl in middle school is just how well Havergal prepares you for the transition into high school. So taking classes in the upper school and having the option of doing a reach ahead class also helps to foster a seamless integration into grade 9. And you also get to form a special relationship with your teachers early on, who could very well end up teaching you again in your last year of high school, like with Miss Goldberg. So I still wave hi in the hall to all of my teachers who taught me in the past. And the middle school just has so many opportunities or leadership positions you can run for too, like middle school council. Or even try your hand at sec direction and join the middle school play. There are just so many ways for you to explore your interests and passions during the times of grade 7 and 8, and Havergal is the perfect place for that. And with that, I'd like to send it back to Ms. Houston White.
Well, you knew somebody had to speak while on mute, so it was a good thing it was me. So thank you, Hannah and Paris, for that. And finally, I'd like to introduce someone who has also been a new girl this year, and that is our new principal, Dr. Katrina Sampson. And so I'll turn it over to you, Katrina.
Thank you. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you and to talk a little bit about my perspective on the middle school. Middle school at Havergal is a very, very special place, as I have found out firsthand. And I think when you think about the balance of what, as a parent, certainly what I'm looking for my own children in their middle school experience, is that opportunity to do a ton of exploring, an opportunity to try new things. And so, as Ms. Goodrich was just talking about, right, don't worry about if you, haven't danced before, or if you are an expert dancer. There's tons of opportunity to get involved, and really that chance to stretch and grow and to try new things. And I think it's really important that that is a key element of the middle school culture. If we can all revert back to when we were 11, 12, 13, quite honestly, it's one of the most awkward times in life, right? Where our natural inclination is to, as humans, to try not to stand out, right? And so even though our brains are going through this remarkable amount of growth and rewiring, and there's tons of potential that happens, inclination at that point in our lives is to, stay the course, do what we can, and not stand out. And the thing that is so fantastic here is that there is that push and that stretch to try new things. And this is where students, and this is where girls gain the confidence, right? Confidence to move forward and to try new things, that concept of failing forward. I also think paired with that opportunity is the focus on foundational skills, right? Is that focus on, grade 7 is a very significant intake year for us, understanding the variety of experiences that students are having coming into that class. Some of our girls crossing the bridge and coming over from the junior school, and many coming from a wide variety of schools. And so that focus of a really strong foundation, a focus on learning skills, a focus on social emotional skills, is really a core element. And certainly as a parent, that's exactly what I'm hoping for at that very critical juncture in my child's life. So I think the last few things is that, from my observations, is that the teachers love working with students at this age group. And to me, that is gold, right? 11, 12, 13-year-olds aren't everybody's cup of tea. And when you've got teachers who are passionate and excited and are drawn to working with students at that age group, to me, that signals just a brilliantly healthy culture and a great place, and a place that I would want my child. Second, again, is that program that focuses on foundational skills, those skills that support critical thinking, that support creativity, all of those things that they'll need as they build their academic foundation to be successful as they move forward in the school. And the last one is a place that values relationships. And that is certainly I think the ethos of this place. It permeates when you walk down the hallway. You can see the relationships, as the students were just talking about, the relationships with their teachers that grow and are sustained over time. So if I can leave you with a couple of things, is that here at Havergal in the middle school, I think your daughter will be known, she will be loved, she will be challenged, and she will be supported. So I think it's a remarkable place. I consider myself very blessed to be part of this community. And I know that myself and my colleagues are more than happy to answer questions. And we are very, very honored that you are considering Havergal for your child's journey.
Thank you so much, Katrina. And I think it's important for parents to know as well that that relationship doesn't end when you leave Havergal. When I look at Hannah and Paris, and I look forward to seeing them as old girls at our reunions, with over 9,000 old girls around the world who are still connected to Havergal, you never lose that connection and that relationship with Havergal and the friendships that you build here. So it is such a special place indeed. And so thank you to all of my colleagues. In the time that we've had left, we've got some questions that have been put into the Q&A. Please do add your questions as we go through. We'll get to as many as possible. So we'll start with one that actually goes to me. And the question is, can you let us know how many new students will be admitted for grade 7 and grade 8 respectively? So this year we have 6 classes of grade 7 and 6 classes of grade 8. And of those classes in grade 7, about 50 students are new. And we're looking at admitting about the same number for this year. Grade 8 is not an entry year for us, but we may well have places if there is some attrition in the school. I do get asked quite often, what is our retention rate at Havergal? What is the percentage of students who stay? And our retention rate is about 98%, which is quite remarkable and does speak to the value that our families put on a Havergal education and how much they enjoy being part of the community. But we are looking at taking about 50 students into grade 7. JJ, I'm going to ask you the next question because it is around curriculum a bit here, and it is financial literacy a focus in your learning curriculum?
Thanks, Maggie, and thank you to the parent for asking that question. Financial literacy is now included in the math curriculum. I know that in the grade 7 and 8 years, they focus on a variety of different concepts, some of which come to mind are simple and compounding interest rates, savings, and how those impact savings or investments, the cost of borrowing, how credit cards work, creating, tracking, and adjusting budgets. So that is all done through math classes.
Fantastic. And I know both JJ and I are proud moms to grads, and we were very grateful for the guidance program that also speaks to financial literacy as they prepare the girls for life outside of Havergal. The next question is quite topical, and I'm actually going to ask you, Katrina, about this. It's about, does Havergal have a school policy on COVID vaccination for children above the age of 12?
Yes, thank you. So we do have a mandatory vaccination policy here at Havergal for eligible students. We have 100% of our employees, both the teaching and non-teaching employees, who are fully vaccinated, and we do have a mandatory vaccination policy for students who are eligible. Within that policy, there are accommodations made for provisions under the Ontario Human Rights Codes for religious or medical exemptions. We have 98.5% of our eligible students who are fully vaccinated against COVID, with those other students in that 1.5% who fall under the accommodation policy.
Thank you. So a question has been posted here, and I'm actually going to turn it over to you, Lindsay. And it is, what universities do students attend after graduation? And I know we've got our grad profiles, 10 years online, but maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Thank you, Maggie, and thank you to the individual for asking this question. You know, we have quite a wonderful grad class, and students will go to university to a variety of places. There'll be a group of students who do go to university in different programs here in Ontario. Some that go to Quebec, out to west to British Columbia, and then we do have a sizable group of students that will go to the United States, the UK, and to other international universities as well. And our guidance department works very closely with representatives from each of these schools in ensuring that they have the most up-to-date knowledge and can support students and families on this journey, starting in grade 11 and moving through to grade 12. You know, even starting younger than that and helping them become informed in terms of what the information is they need on this journey, but then really in earnest into the end of grade 11 and through grade 12.
Thanks, Lindsay. And it is a terrific program that allows both parents and students to understand the application process for universities, what's involved. We have a number of universities who come to visit us on campus. And as Lindsay mentioned, about 20% of our students will go to the US. Generally, it's East Coast Ivy League schools. About 70% will stay in Canada. And as Lindsay mentioned, U of T, McGill, Western, Queens are sort of our top schools. And then we will have students who will go to the UK, St. Andrews, London School of Economics, a number of different schools. If you'd like to find that on our website, look for the grad profile, and you can find that actually going right back to about 2005 is on there. So there's a question that I'm actually going to ask Jordy, I think, and that is, what does a typical school day look like for a grade 7? What does their timetable look like? And maybe you could talk a little bit about that well-being block at the beginning of the day.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Great. So a typical day right now, students have 4 classes. Classes are about an hour and 10 minutes or so. So it's 2 classes in the morning, lunch, then they organize again for the afternoon. They start the day every morning. It's sort of, I'm just looking here, is a different start. So some mornings they show up in form, then attend prayers. For example, Wednesday mornings, after they show up in home form, we actually have our form class. So each day there's sort of a different start before classes begin at 9:30, and then the day ends at 3:30. And that well-being piece, aside of course being covered sort of in one-on-one sessions, is through that form class that I had mentioned.
Great. And I know lunchtimes are a busy time for Havergal students, particularly in the middle school. And it's been designed that way so that clubs, student councils, there's lots of opportunities for students to get engaged at lunch and be able to be involved in athletics or music either before or after school. So it seems like we're wrapping up with our questions here. There has been a question posed about, really, it's a great question, and I know I've gotten it a lot, so I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. Parents are a little nervous about coming into Havergal in grade 7, having experienced a teacher strike, potentially if you were in the public system, and then COVID. So JJ, maybe you could speak a little more to how our teachers meet students where they're at right off the bat.
Sure. Thank you, Maggie. I touched on it very briefly when I was speaking, but our teachers are accustomed to welcoming students from a variety of different backgrounds. And that includes, of course, our junior school, but a variety of public and independent schools across the GTA, and a number of students join us from overseas. So our grade 7 and 8 teachers are very adept at welcoming those and meeting them where they're at. So how do they do that? Really through very skilled observations at the start of the year, one-on-one conferencing, supporting students as they navigate the start of the year, and help them where is needed. We have, as Jordy mentioned, and she is one of those people as a guidance counselor, she's able to meet with students if we're noticing any difficulties, but our teachers are so experienced and very good at supporting students wherever they may be while entering in grade 7. It is a common experience for in a class of 19 or 20 students, and half of them are coming from a variety of different schools, that a great deal at the start of the year is getting to know the students and knowing where they're at so that their needs can be met.
Absolutely, JJ. And I think when we go through the admission process, the reason it's so vigorous and the reason we take so much time with each individual who's applying is when we send you your offer letter, it does say, we believe your daughter will thrive at Havergal, and we mean it. And one of my favorite things is when you look around the school at this time, and today was a very exciting day of Halloween door decorating. I think Miss Goldberg, your class may be the winner in that case there. The only way to tell the new girls from the returning girls is to look down at their shoes, because the new girls' shoes still look a little bit better than the returning girls. But by May, they're all pretty much in the same state. And so with that, I'm going to draw this to a close, but someone asked me a question the other day that I thought was excellent. And so I'm actually going to ask a number of you on this panel this question. Dr. Sampson, you can be excused from this one as someone who hasn't experienced this yet, but I'm going to start with you, Garth. If you knew someone coming into grade 7, what is the event you would tell her to be most excited about at Havergal?
That is a great question. I usually have a default answer here, but I'm going to leave that to Miss DiFilippo, I think. Something that struck me in my very first year was prayers. Prayers as student expression. So anytime where we have the prefects, like every year, the prefects do a cheer, and that cheer always blows my mind. And it blows my mind because the cheer, and if you don't know the Havergal cheers, you got to understand these cheers are like minutes long, and they bring up the culture. They bring up like what's happening now. They bring up like legendary people, legendary events. So it is something that's always stuck with me since my first year, and something I always look forward to.
All right, so Ms. DiFilippo, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but what would you say a new grade 7 should look forward to most?
Right. Well, of course, I'm going to have to say Hockey Day. I think a lot of people on this call would say that same answer. And the reason is because as someone who loves supporting women in sport, especially, to witness that event for the first time and to see everyone at Havergal dressed in green and gold with face paint on, making signs, and going to the hockey arena cheering on their team, no matter what the score was, and just showing that Gator pride and that support for one another was beautiful and something I will always remember. And yeah, it's definitely an event to experience.
Hannah, what about you? From the student perspective, what would you say our grade 7 should most look forward to?
Hopefully this returns next year, but I would say Celebration Saturday is unlike anything I've ever experienced coming in. It's like a carnival, but like food trucks, it's like everything in one. So when you get here, you have to experience it.
Paris, what about you?
Personally, I feel like you have to experience a play at Havergal, either like middle school or like senior school, because they're something really special. And I feel like the school after hours is like a whole nother place. And I think you definitely have to go to one.
Excellent. And I'm going to switch the question slightly for you, Ms. Norberg. What's the thing you're most looking forward to watching our new grade 7s experience? What's the thing where you know they're going to be surprised?
I know they're going to be surprised. You did switch up that question a little bit on me, Miss Houston White. So what I'm thinking about at the moment is actually carol service and the opportunity for our upper school to come together in December and sing together and celebrate the season and the different songs and be able to be together in community. We have just started singing together, and as you've talked about, being back in what we call the Brenda Robson Hall, which actually is behind me in my picture here, and being able to be in community and be together and to sing. And that's something I'm really looking forward to.
JJ, what would you say to that?
What I'm looking forward to seeing the grade 7s participate in. It's all of those school spirit events that happen spaced out through the year, but generate this like love of Havergal. Our students love Havergal. It's like bleed green and gold. It's amazing. So things, when I think of Spirit Week and we have kind of intergrade competition, and part of Spirit Week is hockey day, I think of house shout. I think of the opportunities that get them out to a field cheering on a classmate, or going to the gym to cheer on the volleyball team, like things that where they're encouraging one another and having fun doing so. It's so fun to see the grade 7s experience this for the first time. And having experienced a few schools prior to Havergal, as like my eyes were like just wide open, blown wide open. I couldn't believe the school spirit that this place has, and the students love every second of it.
Absolutely. And I think if you find our YouTube channel and see our grade cheer off, it is a sight to behold. And house shout, if you've never experienced it, even parents show up in full house colors. And I think you've all touched on some really, really important parts of Havergal. I think for me, it's those little moments that I look forward to. The first time a new student turns to another new student and they help them open their locker, or the first time they realize that they're lost and it's a grad who stops in the hall and says, "Don't worry, I'll take you to your class." It's all those little moments of magic that I think make Havergal so special. So thank you to everybody for being here tonight. Thanks to the panelists. We are so looking forward to sharing more of our Havergal experience with you through our webinars. But for everybody here at Havergal, thank you for being a part of tonight. Have a super evening.